Hey guys, this is from Steph to you, bringing you my UFC Fight Night 70 post-fight recap. I wanted to first, real quick, just mention. I mean, we did really well. I had 8 out of the 9 fights picked correctly. The only one that I did call was the ponzinibbio and Larkin fight, but you know, I think that probably will end up getting fight of the night. But other than that, I got 8 out of 9 fights called correctly. Won some money on DraftKings and Counter Move. I'll post the pictures up later. But I also wanted to make this video to kind of talk about my future ideas for this channel. I had done a YouTube channel years back when I was a lot younger, and I just did it on things that I like, and that's kind of what I'm doing with this one. I mean, I want to be able to talk about not just fantasy MMA, because there's so many guys out there, you know, that are professionals that they can sit there and give you what they think about fighting or what they think about this and that. But I want to be able to talk about things that I'm passionate about, and luckily YouTube gives me the forum or the stage, if you will, to kind of do that. And I had said in the description of this channel that I was going to start doing some political things, and somehow or another it just kind of parlayed that way tonight, where the guy named Jeremy Botter, who writes for the, I don't know who he writes for, I know he's a MMA journalist. He had put, because Yoel Romero had made some comments saying, you know, what's wrong with United, in his broken English, what's wrong with United States, go back to Jesus, you know, and people were taking it as like anti-gay or whatever. Now personally, just for me, I'm not trying to offend anyone. I know everyone's waiting to be offended these days, but you know, I didn't have a problem with gay marriage. I'm kind of for equality. I tend to be more conservative, but I have a lot of libertarian views, and I don't just vote, you know, or I don't just believe, oh, well, I'm conservative, so I need to think this way, or I'm liberal, I need to think this way. I think for myself, and I don't let people, you know, dictate what I should think. But my point was, this guy, Jeremy Botters, had said, oh, Yoel Romero is an asshole. And I said, why? Because he has a view that you don't like? And then it goes into this long rant, and I got tweets and retweets, and all this stuff is happening. And my point was, you're gonna call people a name. I mean, how does that put you? You're calling someone a name because they say something you don't agree with. Now, I mean, what did you think? The guy, most, and again, not all, but most hardcore Christians don't support gay marriage. The Catholic Church is against it. The Mormon Church is against it. All these churches spend millions of dollars to try to fight gay marriage. So, you know, I don't know why this surprises me, but that's not the point. The point was, you're supposed to be about equality, which is what I'm for. But we also need to have equality in our freedom of speech. And you can't just call people names or whatever, especially when you're a journalist and you're supposed to have some journalistic integrity and some, you know, you're supposed to be not supposed to be biased one way or the other. You're going to call some guy an asshole publicly when you have thousands of followers just because he simply said something you don't agree with. But I digress. I just wanted to, so I'm just going to, in sum, I'm going to be doing some more, you know, political things. But just to kind of break the fight down, let me go ahead and just pull this up. The different fights that we had, you know, we started off with the Martinez fight versus Kakai, and I had called that one. I had told everyone I thought Kakai was going to be dominant. It wasn't as dominant of a performance as I had expected, but you know, because I thought he was going to get the finish, and he wasn't able to finish him. But it was pretty, you know, I would say pretty one-sided affair. And then I didn't get to see too much of that fight. I was doing some stuff, but you know, it was pretty good. And then after that, we had the rest of the prelims with Tony Sims, the guy that I was really hyped about. I tweeted and I called him in my my fight. I mean, he's an absolute beast. I even tweeted him personally earlier in the day saying, you know, I hope you get this one. You know, I heard the story about his brother, and I thought that was a really good story to, you know, kind of follow. And, you know, coming in at 29, and you're fighting a bigger fighter. And I also had seen the tape on Steve Montgomery, and I just thought that this was going to be kind of a bad matchup for him. So yeah, you know, they were boxing, exchanging. Montgomery did hit him with a pretty good knee, almost dropped him, but you know, he was wobbly. And then Tony came out and just dropped, you know, hit him with one good one, dropped him. Montgomery rushed to get back up, and he just got blasted again, and that was a really good one. And then we had the Luis Gonzalez-Leandro Silva fight. That one was kind of a snoozer. I mean, I agree with Silva winning it, but I don't think that he did much as far as, you know, he was supposed to be the great submission specialist, and he just kind of showed that he's a grinder. But I guess Gonzalez's wrestling kind of negated a lot of things too. So, I mean, that was a good grappling match, but not much of a fight. We also had the one of the fights I was pretty upset about was the Alex Oliveira and Joe Merritt fight. Alex Oliveira needs to find a wrestling coach or something, because he was able to get him down quite a bit, but even his jiu-jitsu, he had a rear naked choke. He constantly was getting swept. He would get, you know, the hooks in or try to do a body lock, and he would let Joe Merritt, you know, spin out and get top position, and it was just a sloppy fight. I mean, he won, and I tipped my hat to him, but it wasn't anything to go crazy about. I will say though, in his defense, he has been fighting quite a bit, so you know that can take its toll on you. And then we also had the Akron Diaz versus Levon Makaveli. That fight, you know, I think if Makaveli would have been able to keep it standing a little bit more, he probably would have done well, because his shots were just, I mean, you could tell they were hurting Diaz. Diaz's wrestling was on point, but the problem with him is he wasn't able to keep him down, and when he did get him down, he wasn't doing anything with it. He was just kind of laying there. So, you know, that really didn't have me inspired. Then, you know, a great fight was, or a great knockout, I should say, was the Thiago Santos versus Steve Bosse knockout. I called that fight again. I didn't know it was gonna be that quick, but geez, that was a head kick, you know, to rival all head kicks. There's not much fight to break down on that one. I guess they were just, he read Steve Bosse right. He was seeing that every time that he would come to throw, Bosse would drop to try to cover his body, so leaving the head open. He just doubled up on it and landed the head kick, knocked him out. And then we had the guy that I said was the lock of the night. It was my shot of the night that I did. Antonio Carlos Jr. versus Eddie Gordon. I mean, that guy is going to be scary. I mean, it looked like Alexander Gustafsson was fighting at 185. I mean, he just looked huge. And you could tell when he was leaning against the cage, he was making Gordon carry his weight. He was so dominant with his technique. I mean, the only thing I could say as a knock on him was he kind of lunging forward. You know, he rather than setting up his combinations, he was lunging with the punches. And but you know, his takedowns were there all night. That was probably the most dominant performance of a fight that lasted any length of time. And you know, I was really impressed with that one. And then the one fight that I didn't call correctly was the Larkin ponzinibbio fight. And I tip my hat to Santiago Ponzinibbio though, because he had some balls. I mean, he did not just go in there and get railed. I mean, those leg kicks definitely hurt, and there was 2 or 3 times where he hurt Larkin as well. But I think the difference was the speed. Larkin was able to get off so much faster, you know, come in and out as he wanted, and you know, he ended up taking the fight. And I guess, you know, we'll see what he can do when he goes. I want to see him go against a wrestler at 170. Get him against someone by the, you know, the Matt Browns, the Johnny Hendrickses of the world, and see how they do against them. And then in the main fight, we had Yoel Romero versus Lyoto Machida. And Yoel Romero did exactly what I thought he was going to do. He did not. See, everyone was saying he's going to gas, he's going to gas. He did not gas at all. And he played Machida's game with Machida. You know, he didn't go crazy. Machida's just waiting for you to come straight center line with no head movement and leave yourself sitting there waiting for a big shot. And he didn't do that. And I was just impressed with the power that man has. You know, as soon as he actually got his hands on Machida, he threw him to the ground like no one's been. I mean, I've never seen anybody take. Machida has fought, I mean, the who's who of wrestlers: Tito Ortiz, John Jones, Dan Henderson, you know, you name it. He's fought them, and I've never seen anyone. Ryan Bader, another All-American. I've never seen anyone just slam him like that. I mean, just wow. And then with the elbows, dropping elbows, and knocked him out. So, you know, I say the only knock on Yoel Romero is the fact that he, you know, he's 38 years old. You know, so I don't. But you know, he hasn't been really hurt, and he hasn't been in the fight game that long. So who knows what he'll be able to do? But it's just hard to compete with. You know, your body just at 38 is not going to react to how it would if you were a younger guy. But anyway, guys, so great pick for us, and I appreciate all the love from the subscribers out there. Oh, also, and I'm not going to be plugging this a lot, but I do have a PayPal donation button on my channel main page, and also there's an email down below in the description. You know, I do spend quite a bit of time. I spend about 2 hours writing notes and doing I have a huge notebook here highlighted up for all my fight picks and everything like that. And then I usually spend about an hour and a half, 2 hours watching. It depends on if there's how many unknown fighters watching a fight film, and so, you know, if I win you guys some money, if you guys, you know, feel like it, or if you're, you know, however, if you would like to make a donation to the channel, I do appreciate it. And you know, I don't knock anybody from a 10-cent donation to a $100 donation. All of it's appreciated, and hopefully we can keep going and winning some money. Like I said, I really hope my picks helped you guys tonight. I only missed 1 out of the 9, and we'll just keep it going. And you know, please feel free to share and tell your friends, family, because you know, I'm not one of these pro guys. As you can see, I just have my own setup here, but I do have confidence in my knowledge of you know, fighting, and also, you know, knowing how the fantasy MMA world works, and being able to pick fights. And you know, I'm not by no means an expert when it comes to you know, I don't get every single thing correct, but I do think that my record is improving and doing very well. So like, subscribe, and this is from Steph to you, and you guys take care. Have a good night.